So some of you may have already gotten a refund or a stimulus, so to speak, from your car insurance. As we did in a previous video, we talked about how some companies are doing 15% back, they're doing 25% back. It really just depended on the company that you were insured with. And as most of you have felt, and I've felt the same thing, I got 15% back for 2 months for April and May. And it's not really a slap in the face to me, but some people felt like it was because it's like $60. It's like $35 for 1 month or $35 for another. Or if you're paying a lot of money, it may have been $60 or $70 back on your $500 bill, right? So it's not a huge give back. It's better than nothing. That was great. But one of the things that's recently changed, if you're in a state that declared a state of emergency, then here's something that your governor may have done. I'm in Michigan, so this is what we currently did. Our governor, Governor Whitmer, had done a state of emergency, and by doing that, that also allowed her to make some pretty drastic changes as far as the state goes. So one of the laws that recently came through was that by June 3rd, all insurance companies that have not given a refund, because there are some that didn't give money back. So those companies that did not give a refund back are now required to either submit paperwork by June 3rd, and they have to have everything done by June 10th. So they have to have it approved, they have to have a plan to go forward, what money they're giving back to the customer, how much it is, when it's going into place. It has to be enforced by June 10th. So they're giving them until June 3rd to get all of that paperwork submitted to the government, to diffs, and they're going to make sure that they're giving money back to the people. Because the state knew that people weren't driving. It was a stay-at-home order. You can't go anywhere. There's less accidents, less claims. These insurance people or insurance companies are still taking in money, hopefully. You know, they have to at least show that now that their loss ratio has gone way down, because that's what insurance does, is they make money off a loss ratio. If it's a low loss ratio, they take in premium that pays them a certain amount. Well, because of the pandemic, they were taking in the normal premium for those that could keep paying their insurance, which is, let's just say 80% or higher, right? That's still pretty good, but there's no claims, there's no accidents, there's very few, there's a couple, right? So there's no money going out, but tons of money coming in. They invest that in the stock market, and that's where they make their money, right? They're making a lot more money, where customers are the ones paying that bill beyond what they should be. Because all of this is regulated through the government. Each insurance company has to file their rate system, and their rate system has to show that they're not screwing people over, so to speak. Well, because the pandemic is not a normal thing, right? This has never happened. At least in my life, it's never happened. So this is new. And because of that, the laws aren't going to change because of that, because we will go back to being normal again. The insurance rates shouldn't change because of that. But in this 3-month span of us being home, these insurance companies that have millions and millions of people are making a bunch of money because of the situation. Yes, they're losing some money because they're losing some customers that can't pay the bill, but in the long run, they're probably going to get that customer back, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? What Michigan is doing is they are forcing all insurance companies who have not stepped up to the plate. There was some really good people. State Farm stepped up first. They're usually the guys that start the trend because they're the biggest insurance in the nation. So they stepped up first and said we're giving X amount of billion back, which was like, I believe 15% or 20% or whatever it was, to customers. And then Progressive stepped in, and Travelers stepped in, and all of these companies. But there were some, because I work with 17 of them, I did notice, and I was reaching out and saying, hey, what's going on? Are we giving money back to these customers? Well, some of them don't have large advertising budgets, and some of them don't have as big of an impact. So when the stay-at-home order went into place, it didn't affect them as much as these larger companies, so they didn't see a real good reason that they needed to give the money back to customers. If you're the one that's angry about this video, I kind of agree with you. I don't care what situation you're in, unless you're really negative and you're struggling as a company, you still plan to give funds back to people that weren't able to use them, right? If I couldn't use my insurance, right? That's the case. That in mind, I understand where they're coming from as well, because we still insured you. You paid for a service, you agreed on the price. I know that what happened, you lost your job, things happened, economy dropped, things like that, but that doesn't negate you from the contract that you signed. That's the situation that has happened in Michigan. And what they're doing is they're now forcing them, so they have until June 10th to reply to this and have it enforced, or there is another option. The insurance company does have the option of saying why they can't refund that money. So if they are struggling financially and they said, you know what, if we do this, we're bankrupt, we're gone, we can't stay in Michigan. And so in that case, maybe that might make a good reason. So it's up to the diffs and the government and all of those guys to figure all that stuff out. But they either A, have to explain why they're not doing a refund, and a lot of them might file the paperwork now when they didn't before, because this is sort of new. This just was announced about last Thursday or the one before, that they had to do this. So if you're a company that already did it and gave back 15% or 20% and you just didn't file it, then now you got to explain why. Yeah, we're not doing it because we just did it. You know, we already did it. We just didn't file it with you guys. Here's the paperwork. Thank you. Stamp of approval. Great. That's one of the good reasons that they would explain why they're not doing it again. The other reason would be if they financially just couldn't afford it. If they didn't have a loss ratio change. Maybe they were just the rare occasion, and that's what happens is there's a rare occasion where people kept driving and getting in accidents, so their loss ratio really didn't affect a whole lot. Maybe they're giving 5% back. Anyways, for the states that have declared the emergency, you may want to look at the DIF's website. It's whatever your state is. You can Google Michigan or New Jersey or New York or Florida DIFs. And then you can read through some of the laws are posted there. It's a little bit of technical jargon, so that's kind of one of the things that I like to do for you guys is go through some of the technical stuff and break it into pieces that are understandable. If you're in Michigan, expect a refund if you haven't gotten one. Otherwise, you probably will get a letter from them explaining what or why. If you get nothing, then it may make sense for you guys to check the website or go into DIFs, because there is a link there where you can file a complaint or you can ask questions. So if you want to get more of a direct response, I'll post that below. Otherwise, Mark with Think Insurance. If you got value out of it, thumbs up. Subscribe if you want more. I'll see you guys in the next one.